The 49ers, Trista, are unbeatable when fully healthy on offense. We already knew about the defense. When the offense is right, and Ayuk and Debo and CMC and Kittle and Purdy, changed my mind on a Monday. Niners are unbeatable when fully healthy on offense. Trista.
How can you stop them? Honestly, you've got the best coaching mind in Kyle Shanahan, who dials up all this pre-snap motion. You got Christian McCaffrey, who's just an absolute weapon. You're using him in the pass game. You're using him as a full-on wide receiver and obviously a running back as well. Brandon Ayuk can get you big yards down the field, Kittle in the middle. You've got Debo, who's also – he was Christian McCaffrey before Christian McCaffrey for this Niners team. So you got basically a two-headed monster that's like a running and receiving weapon. I think Debo had – he had one rushing touchdown, one receiving. So then on top of that, Brock Purdy is the perfect quarterback for the system, efficient, able to get the ball moving. Then you got the best left tackle in all of football in Trent Williams. You can't stop them, and defensively they're obviously always have been elite. Yeah, this is the best team in football, hands down. They are. I don't know how you game plan against them. It's a Nikola Jokic situation where you pick your poison.
So, Nick, before you jump in, Trista's points all excellent, all well-founded. I'll give you some caveats here. No Nakobe Dean. No, was it?
Spoken like a true Philly fan.
I was just about to say.
No, and you guys were both here when everyone asked me last week, who do I like? And I said, San Francisco.
You did.
Yeah.
I will give you credit. You did like them.
I'm not going to do that.
He did.
Their linebackers are banged up. And they looked messy. The Eagles looked really messy. I'm not making excuses.
That secondary is right now is just very suspect.
You got corners. You don't have a lot of really sustained excellence from the safety position. And the linebackers are messy. They were messy on covering CMC out of the backfield. They were messy on whoever was on George Kittle. That's a really bad matchup. Are the Niners going to be able to do that against other prominent defenses? And pick them, find them.
You know how I feel about this 49ers team. I think
you're in love.
They're the best team in the NFL. Yep. I love watching them, and when that offense is healthy, there is no defense in this NFL that can stop them. Because we haven't just watched the 49ers win when they're healthy. We've watched them beat the hell out of teams week after week after week. Okay, so the Eagles maybe were a little banged up defensively. It's not like it was one of those things where, okay, the Eagles were banged up defensively and the 49ers won by like 10 points. The 49ers ran them off the field.
Scored on 5 or 6 straight drives?
There's nothing you can do.
Kept on getting touchdowns.
Yeah, and Trista, like you bring up, like Debo Samuel was Christian McCaffrey before Christian McCaffrey. It's not just that they have weapons. It's that they're these versatile weapons. These guys that can line up in the backfield, that can be pass catchers and running backs at the exact same time, and they're the best in the NFL at it. Christian McCaffrey is the MVP this year. He's not going to win it, but he is the MVP this year. You give him the football, there are a million different ways that he can beat you. He can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with his hands. He's smart. He's physical. He can run up the middle. And knock on wood, he's stayed healthy now. That's been the knock on him, or at least when it was in Carolina, was that Christian McCaffrey can't stay healthy. Well, he is now. The 49ers, the only thing I want to see with San Francisco, and we didn't really get that in this game, and we may never at this point, is whether or not Brock Purdy can lead this team back when they're down. We have seen Jalen Hurts do that.
What if they're so good?
And that's the thing.
When they're fully healthy, they never need to be down.
And you know what? That's a damn good position to be in, isn't it? That's as good as it gets. As the Bengals marching down the field here now, maybe going to get an opportunity as they just jump in the red zone.
Tanner Hudson and Trenton Irwin.
The Bengals need to take anything that they possibly can right now. But yeah, I don't know how any team in the NFL, when everybody's at full strength, can beat this 49ers team, which is great defensively, though they've had some of their injury issues in the secondary too and on defense for them, and they're still plowing their way through. They got 2 great pass rushers on either side in Bosa and Chase Young, and you're looking at that offense going, they can be down at any point, and maybe Brock Purdy is just maybe a little dink and dunk and you just get the ball in their hands, but yeah, they may just never lose. They may just never be down in games at this rate, so I love them.
Change my mind. Nick, we'll start with you. Hurts and Mahomes loosened their grips on the MVP after the most recent week, so it's anybody's award now. Checking the latest at BetMGM. Jalen Hurts, plus 350. Dak, the same. Brock Purdy, the same. All 3 co-favorites at plus 350. Patrick Mahomes at 6-1. Lamar, 7.5-1, plus 750. And Tua is at 8-1, if you want to sniff around that. changed my mind. It's anybody's game now.
100%. And I'll be honest with you, it felt like it was anybody's game to win MVP most of this year anyway. We've had so much fluctuation, really similar to where the Heisman has been, where you're watching week by week and it becomes a what have you done for me lately. More about the perception and where the odds are than anything else. I mean, we can't dictate what every single voter is thinking week by week, but the odds certainly give us something. There's a reason why those are set where they are. But Jalen Hurts has not done enough to separate himself from the pack, even with some of the comebacks they've had. Those have been after really awful starts to games, especially, which is what happened against the Chiefs there. Dak, I mean, look, we know Dak's a front-runner quarterback. Dak is great when that team's winning, and he's having a great stretch this year, and quite frankly, a really good year overall. But that's when they're up. He doesn't have those signature wins yet. Brock Purdy, I love Brock Purdy. But if I'm going to vote if the 49ers have the best record in the NFL, well, they won't. But, I mean, let's just pretend that somehow a bunch of teams lose and somehow the 49ers end up with the best record in the NFL. And you're going to vote Brock Purdy MVP. Well, what about Christian McCaffrey then? Like, to me, I look at the 49ers and say it's still Christian McCaffrey that is the MVP over Brock. And Purdy has had an awesome season this year. Mahomes has to outdo what he's done in the past to win another MVP. And that's really one of the big things that I look at and say that offense isn't as good as where it was in the past. You could make the counter argument and say, hey, look at the crap he's throwing the football to. Everybody's dropping the football. Okay. It really is anybody's. Lamar Jackson at plus 750 and maybe Tua at 8-1, I think, are the only two where the number gives you some value, and yet it's still in a spot where you say those teams are really good and they've got an opportunity. Because even Tyreek Hill, Trista, I wouldn't vote for Tyreek Hill over Tua because Tyreek Hill is still dependent on Tua getting him the football. And if Tua is an MVP candidate and Tyreek Hill's having an MVP season, you got to lean on the quarterback first.
You guys are absolutely right. It's anybody's game. I have no idea who's going to win it. And a lot of times you get these two-horse races down at the end of the season, which is kind of where we are now. And that last year was Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes. But we knew that for Pat Mahomes to win it again this year, he was going to have to surpass the things that he did last year.
Yep.
And he's taken a step back. Jalen Hurts taken a step back. Dak has increased his production, and this team is winning, and the numbers are ungodly, right? You've got Tua getting the ball to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is going to have probably 2,000 receiving yards. Just crazy numbers for Tyreek Hill. You've got Jalen Waddle, who looks incredible because of Tua. You know, and then we have, obviously, the Brock Purdy phenomenon where, you know, a few weeks he's the MVP co-leader, and then he's a guy who everybody thinks should be not even starting, that they should start Sam Darnold instead. And then now he's back to everybody being healthy, and he looks like an MVP candidate again. Josh Allen still kind of hanging around. The reason that I don't like Lamar Jackson, really, is because a lot of his weapons have gotten injured, right? You don't have your J.K. Dobbins. You don't have Mark Andrews for the rest of the year. OBJ has been up and down. You've got a rookie in Zay Flowers who you have to rely on. So I don't think I would give my money to Lamar at this point. So, yeah, I do think it's anybody's game, and I do think Tua is the best bet on the board.
Now, let's take prices out of this. Just that aside, not even from betting, just thinking about it from who you think is going to win. Who right now would be the front runner to you that just deserves to win MVP? No prices, none of that.
That's a great question.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'm struggling to find somebody that really I could say head and shoulders above. I could make an argument for about four guys. Right. And that's the thing, where if there's any year that a non-quarterback could win and should win MVP, it's this year. Because then nobody separated themselves enough.
You're right.
They really haven't. But the problem is we know how this is going to go, right? He's not going to win.
No.
He's not going to win.
It's going to be Brock Purdy.
And that's and I don't even, and Brock Purdy doesn't deserve it.
No.
I mean, he's had a great year. No question. You know, I love Purdy. I love the story. I love all that. But Christian McCaffrey is so unique and so responsible for so much of the success of that offense.